Are you injured and don't want to be that way anymore? Are you healthy and would really like to stay that way? This interview with physical therapist Simon Gutierrez is chock full of nuggets, pearls, and golden awesomeness, pieces of information that can help you stay out of getting injured or make a comeback so that you can do the things that you want to do with your health and your fitness. And that's what we're talking about today on Wellness Time.
Our body will adapt to any stress that we give it, as long as it's not too big and as long as it's not too frequent, and we give it the rest in between. And where is that? That's different for everybody. About, just getting the best out of myself the best way I can. But, still do the workout, but lower your expectations.
Right.
Just take it easy. Just do a flush out session instead. Because also I think that when your body's that stressed and you're taxed and you're not hitting your norms, the risk for injury's got to be higher. One of my favorite quotes is to train, not to strain.
Train, not to strain.
And I think when you can grasp that idea and have the confidence to do that, you're more likely to listen to your body, take care of the aches and pains. Every workout doesn't have to be all out. And I hope that as time goes on now, I'm able to give back to others so that they can enjoy the journey that I've enjoyed with my career.
Howdy, wellness partners. This is AJ Webb, your SLV Health Wellness Coordinator, and the clips you just heard were from an interview I did 1 year ago with Simon Gutierrez, a physical therapist here at San Luis Valley Health. I did the interview in preparation for a Couch to 5K, and I never got to put the footage out. And it was a very strange turn of events because after I did the interview, I myself got hurt and during this Couch to 5K process, and I needed his help. So I got my doc to send me a referral over, and I started doing physical therapy with Simon. And he got me back up to par to be able to move around pain-free, start an exercise regimen, treat me with some dry needling, and some different other fancy physical therapy techniques. But today, I am pain-free in my feet. I've lost 26 pounds because I've been able to exercise and move around again. And I largely credit Simon's treatments and the information in this interview that helped me change my mind, convincing me to go in and get some help from Simon. In this interview, we talk about Simon Gutierrez, his career in running, and he's one of the more accomplished folks that I've sat down with on the Wellness Show and Wellness Time. He was a cross-country collegiate runner down at the University of Arizona. He is in the Colorado Running Hall of Fame, which is nothing to shake a stick at. He's a multiple-time champion, a champion ascent runner, which means his deal is running straight up Pikes Peak and being one of the fastest hombres to do it. And through his passion for running, he decided that he wanted to be a physical therapist and help other folks. And in particular, folks with repetitive stress injuries. He can help you with a lot of things, but if you got a running injury, Simon might be someone to go and check out. So as we go through this interview, we talk about his career, we talk about his training, and we talk about some of the philosophies that have allowed him to participate in endurance sports for over 40 years. You got to hear some of those quotes. The one that I particularly like and helped me get through my own physical therapy treatment and get back into an exercise routine so I could lose weight, get stronger, get faster, was to train, don't strain. It had been my mindset that it was faster, harder, longer, everything more. And now that I'm an old man with a beard and glasses, I need to cool out and rethink the way that I train. And with his help, not only as a physical therapist, but some of the philosophies, some of the nuggets and pearls that he gave me in this interview, I was able to make a recovery and do the fitness things that I wanted to do. I know that you will find this interview valuable. There's tons of little gold nugget pieces of information that can help lots of folks get through an injury, get into some physical therapy, or maybe even stay out of the situation in the first place. Enjoy this interview with Simon Gutierrez. Wellness Time is brought to you by San Luis Valley Health, your companion in employee wellness. We support wellness programs through providing information, educating folks, helping you with your strategic planning, help you put on a rad health fair for your staff, and even do a wellness culture analysis. Whether you're just trying to get your wellness program started at your work, or you're looking to help your leadership take employee health and wellness to the next level at your workplace, we can help you out. If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. These are great ways to support the continuation of this type of content. And if you want some more Wellness Time, you can follow along on a day-to-day basis on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks in advance. Simon Gutierrez, thank you for coming to my wellness cave. And you and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 10 years. When I first met you moving your furniture.
You were very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you very much. I was proud of it. And we got that gig because my training partner, Will Trujillo, was shadowing you, right?
Yes, he was shadowing me in the clinic here.
And I remember he said, hey, I got us this gig. Here's a hat, and it was from Tiva.
Yes.
And he said, yeah, the guy, we're doing this gig for, he's sponsored by Tiva, and he's a bad mofo. He runs up hills and stuff. I was like, all right. And so we did the gig. We moved your furniture for you,
yeah.
and that was awesome. And then here we are 8 years, almost 10 years later. Maybe it's more than that. And now we're coworkers.
Yes, yeah.
And I want to ask you some things about your sport, about running, but can you tell us what is your title, what is it you do here at SLV Health, and what has your tenure looked like here?
So I'm a physical therapist. I work primary outpatient care. I deal with orthopedic injuries, overuse injuries, back sprains, pretty much anything that comes into the clinic. I have a passion for distance running, overuse injuries recovery, which I've done for a long time, and I started with SLV Health back when we first started the outpatient clinic, 2003, 2004. Moved upstairs here when this building was a ghost town, and it's just amazing to see where it's at now.
Yeah, it's wild. It's big. You guys are almost busting at the seams there.
Yeah, very busy. Huge staff now, which is pretty neat to see.
It's awesome. Well, I love walking through that area just to see. I have an appreciation for physical therapists just because as an athlete I got to hang out with a lot of athletic trainers and physical therapists, and just to be in that environment where you're pulling on the rubber stuff and it's just a bunch of folks that are trying to get better. And so it's cool. I love watching it's very interesting to see folks that are just dialed in and like genuinely interested in what other people are doing in regards to movement.
Right.
And I think I'd say that's probably a good quality for you all up there.
Yeah.
That you guys are so focused and like just genuinely interested in helping those people.
Yep. Yeah. We have a really good staff. I was gone for about 5 years, and we had a good staff before, and came back about a year and a half ago, and I'm just really impressed with what everybody's doing up there.
Very nice. Where does your journey as far as physical therapy start for you?
Oh, it starts way back in the 90s. I'd run a few years of just running, working odd jobs and stuff, and there came a realization one morning that I needed to do something besides run, and odd jobs. And at the time, I had some connections, so I thought about healthcare. I had some injuries, so I thought, what would be suitable for me to do, and I kind of just fell into the idea of going to physical therapy school.
And you studied, I believe, in a very interesting place.
I studied in the country of Sweden.
Wow.
I was living there at the time, so again, a little bit of luck on my side. I was able to get admitted, and I studied 3 years there of physical therapy, and we're very grateful for that opportunity.
Awesome. Passion for runners and, I don't know, did you say overuse injury?
Overuse injuries. Yeah.
Overuse injuries. And that's probably stems from your sport. Can you tell us about your sport? And you can even tell us, you can wind back the clock a little bit about how running and your sport of mountain running or ascent running, how's that start for you?
Well, so, I started running track as an age grouper, maybe 7th, 8th grade, and I was fortunate at the time to meet a guy that really took me under his wing, showed me what running was about. I mean, he taught me, which I still feel today, is that, you can have a lot of fun, but you can be serious too. You can be a serious competitor, have a lot of fun, and you can have both of that.
That's a Yogi Berra quote. I like to have fun, but I'm real serious about it.
Yeah, so we had fun, and I think that kind of, just that attitude kind of kept me going through, age group track and field, cross country, high school for sure, and even college when I, was having, some rough years in college. Didn't run nearly as well as I wanted, but I was still having fun, and even to this day, it's just really enjoyable for me to run, and the competitive aspect that, sometimes you're on, sometimes you're off, and but I think overall, it's just thinking back to that, that's what really did it for me, because I've just never experienced, anything quite as enjoyable as distance running.
Wow. Well, enjoyable, and dare I say, I'm tempted to use the word successful. However, I just say you got some trophies. You must have some hardware at your house, because I'm looking at this 7-time USA mountain runner world team member, 3-time world champion in the Masters category.
Yep.
3 times Pike Peak. I think that's a race. Yeah. So you've won that 3 times.
Race,
in some nasty weather. If I read.
Races, you never know what you're going to do.
And then you're in the Colorado Runners Hall of Fame.
I am.
It was a lot easier to prep for this interview because you have your own Wikipedia page.
Oh, nice.
Usually I'm looking through okay, there's 2 paragraphs on the provider bio, but you have to check that out. I got a bunch of links, but just to hear so in looking through those things, one of the things I saw on there, and it holds true because you've been doing this how many years now?
Close to 40.
And you're proud of that longevity.
I'm proud, and I'm very, if there's one thing I've been able to do is year in, year out, compete, stay healthy most of the time. I've had my share, but maybe not so much as if you would expect. And again, it goes back to I've just had a really fun time doing what I do. I've met a lot of interesting people, and I hope that as time goes on now, I'm able to give back to others so that they can enjoy the journey that I've enjoyed with my career. Now,
with this sport, can you kind of paint a picture of a standard of a standard competition?
Sure. So if you're looking at distance running, mountain running, ascent running, there's all different types of courses and different types of venues. You might be single track trail roads. The last 10 years, I've really specifically run mostly uphill races.
Okay.
I think, one, I enjoy it. 2, it's less abusive to your body. It's a great way to get fit, get in really good shape. Prior I did, some of those mountain teams that I made, they were up and down, where you race up a mountain, come back down. It could be 2-3 times up and down, or one big one, something like that. Really painful, the downhills. I don't like downhill, but I did it, and prior to that I did marathon running, road racing, track races, cross country, all that in college and stuff. So, but the mountain races, have really, I like to say I grew up running in the mountains, and I came full circle after 20-30 years, and now I'm finishing running up at the mountains, and it's just, there's nothing like it, just being up there.
Yeah, can't beat that. So I hunt, and so I haven't spent a lot of time running in a mountain, but I just, getting up there with the pack on and being up on top and just seeing stuff that only a handful of people have probably been up there, and every once in a while you find the coffee can, you get to put your name in there. So I too enjoy being in the mountains. Going back to when I had met you, I was completing a career of playing a sport and training for that sport at the expense of myself, And I'm not going to say it's the worst thing in the world. It's definitely a good learning experience. You have 4 years of eligibility to play football, but I think about the way that we use, that we train, and our attitudes about training, and I do not think that those would carry over well to doing something that you've accomplished, right? There's no way that I could, you said 40 years?
Yep.
Right? There's no way. I just don't see that carrying over. So I want to learn some things about the way you've trained, things you've done, that other folks that are, convinced that if they're going to do something that they have to be the top notch, they have to be the fastest, or I want to think about that attitude that I used to have, that it had to be the hardest training session, and you had to push through stuff, and pain doesn't matter, and you have to be tough and all these different things, which there's some values in there, but you got to use that kind of stuff appropriately. Those have to be the ace in your hole.
Right.
Is ace up your sleeve is kind of my observation. So what are some of the things that you've done to have such a long career? And you can do that from a practical standpoint or from an attitude standpoint.
Sure.
What are the nuggets for people?
One of my favorite quotes is to train, not to strain.
Train, not to strain.
And I think when you can grasp that idea and have the confidence to do that, you're more likely to listen to your body, take care of the aches and pains. Every workout doesn't have to be all out. When I design a workout or a season, I design it with as much time as I can. Like say, okay, I want 16 weeks. And if I have 16 weeks, then I can really take my time and get into the fitness I have, rather than I've got a race in 4 weeks, I got to get in shape.
Right.
Because that leads to, really pushing it over.
Cramming is not something that bodes well for those particular types of sports,
it
right?
Doesn't, and so with that, being able to, with my PT background, learning about, the difference between, pain signals, and is this a good pain? Is this a bad pain? Is this something that I'm going to be able to run through? Is this something that I need to pay more attention to? So that kind of working together, and, and along the way, I've made my mistakes for sure. I've pushed when I shouldn't.
Learn some lessons.
Yeah, learn some lessons, and, I try to, say, okay, well, that didn't work out. How can I do this better, Over the years, some of it by default, some of it by purpose. I learned to cross-train early in my career.
Okay.
I learned to do more than just running before I was hurt. So, before I'd cross-train when I was hurt. After a few years, it was like, well, hey, why don't I cross-train so I don't get hurt? And that can look like, the nice thing about living in Alamosa in the wintertime is you don't really want to go out at night and run in the cold.
Right.
So I made a goal for myself. I'm going to do my morning run when it's daylight and I can see ice and snow. And I'm going to cross-train every evening until it starts getting lighter. And when it starts getting lighter in March, I'm going to do 1 run a week as a second run in the evening. In April, I'm doing 2. And by May, I'm doing 3 evening runs. And so, and it seemed to work for me over the years. By this time in the summer, because of the longer races that I tend to do, I'm usually running about twice a day, every day. And then come September, shut it down again, back to the boring indoor stuff in the evening. So I think some of those choices, they came at, because of injuries, they came to avoid injuries. And the thing you start to realize is there's different ways to achieve your goals. It's not, and when you look at everybody that's successful, say in the mountain races, there's not one formula. Some people do a lot of this and a lot of that, and I think that goes for our individual selves too. We don't have to train the way this person trains and that person trains. We got to find what works for us, what keeps us healthy, what keeps us happy, and what we enjoy. The other thing I think I did a long time ago, I used to hate track workouts, quarters, all that. And I realized one morning, I'm so nervous. I hate this. Why am I doing it? So I'm going to go do what I like to do. I'm going to get out on the trails and I'm going to run mile repeats. And, so finding something that you enjoy or training a certain, if you don't like running downhill, don't run downhill. Figure something out. If you don't like running uphill, don't run uphill. It doesn't even have to be just running, as far as, having a healthy lifestyle and stuff. If you hate running, why run? Find something else. You can bike, you can swim, you can, weight lift.
Definitely, yeah, lots of options in that, and that variety can kind of be the spice that kind of keeps us training sometimes.
Yeah, I think it keeps you from burning out and getting, sometimes we get frustrated because maybe we're not progressing the way we should.
Right.
Or maybe our times aren't getting faster, or we're not dropping enough weight, or we're not building enough muscle.
I think that frustration, I think that's a key thing, and in my observation, it stops people and definitely discourages them, because again, my observation is that we have this linear trajectory, and if I'm not constantly getting better, going farther, going faster, whatever it is, it's I poo-poo on myself, my attitude changes, and then I'm upset about the whole thing.
And before you know it, you've gone a few months not doing anything.
Yes.
And then you're trying to find yourself again. I always found that it was easier for me to stay fit and training year round than trying to take breaks.
Right.
And it looks differently. Sometimes it's very intense. Sometimes it's just casual running for 2 to 3 months and just enjoying the weather. But I think, doing that, I think I've been able to maintain, a good base and not have those hiccups in your training.
Right. Yeah. Or massive catastrophes and setbacks.
Yeah.
Because I think seasons, it again, the idea of linear progression, you should always be I remember at the end of my football career and in a training for that was really kind of, you're supposed to be the strongest you're going to be by the time you're 22, because that's probably the end of your college football career. So back squats and cleans, right? So that kind of made sense. So we kind of got into this pattern that you're dropping, shaving time off your 40. But in the long run, I was kind of missing out, because things that were able to allow me to make some of those metrics were really seasons. I had a season where I played, I had a season where I trained, I had a season where I prepped for the season, and I had a season where I recovered, the off season. And I just didn't, it was all kind of, I just didn't think about it that way yet. And allowing ourselves to be a little patient with ourselves and have these seasons where we add in some of the variety, I think is a good way for us to avoid some injuries, kind of revitalize something, kind of attack a new skill or something like
different.
that.
It keeps the motivation going. And in the long run, I think most people want to stay healthy throughout their lives.
Right.
And I think that's a sensible approach, because you have a little bit of different stuff, and you're not gung-ho all the time, and that's where a lot of our injuries and those kind of things come from.
What in regards to, so again, this was a paradigm shift for me. I used to think I'm going to spend this hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, training, and my fixation is going to be about how fast I'm going, how hard I'm going. And I later learned, or at least have adopted a new attitude about it, that it's not as much about how hard I'm going, it's more about how well I'm recovering the other 20, 22 hours I am for the rest of the day. What are some of the things that you've done or that you advise for other folks in regards to recovering from running and sport and just being active on a regular basis in general?
Yeah. Well, I think your nutrition is definitely important, and that's kind of come and gone throughout the years for me, depending on how how important races are. I definitely, nutrition-wise, kind of let it go in the wintertime if I don't have important races. I just want to relax and not be so serious.
It's Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Christmas,
It's time for some cranberry sauce and
do all that, and not, and so you lay that on the bed, and then, but when you're training hard and stuff, you definitely need to pay attention to, both the evening before, what you're eating after your workouts and stuff, because if you're putting in that much time and effort, you want the best benefit, right?
Right.
And there's and there's many ways to do it, whether it be, there's all kinds of nutrition habits, a lot of proteins, carbs, those kind of things. I do think everybody's different.
Right.
I don't think that one person thrives on carbs and one person thrives on protein.
No way, Simon. I'm in the paleo camp.
Right, well,
everyone else is dumb.
Yeah, well, it probably works for you then.
Maybe come on, you need to buy into my dogma about this diet.
That's right. Yeah, sure, but probably not.
Right.
But I think that's one of the most important things, because if you look at, we are human beings and we need to recover, and if you're not paying attention to that, you're it's kind of self-defeating, really. The other thing I think is just, obviously sleep's important, and if and everybody's got sleep, we've got work to do, we've got family and all that, and then when you add in the stress levels of life, whether it be new job, buying a new house, those things pay in, over the years. And I look back and I'm like, well, no wonder I wasn't running very well that year. I had all this stuff going on, even though I was training just as much. I was running really slow, and look at this year. I was really happy that year. Wow, I ran really fast.
I remember being in Nashville, Tennessee. I was on a trip for a business club that I was in at school, and I was still getting ready for the next season. Pretty sure I was hungover, and I was just perplexed that I wasn't squatting, for whatever, for my last set 8. I'm just like, what's going on here? My knees are hurting and I'm dunking, and stuff like that. And just, you're on the road. There's these other things going on, which is limited stress for a 21-year-old college kid. But still, these things, it's like a no-duh. Like, your dog died and your car got broken into and you didn't sleep good last night and you had 2 burritos from the gas station for lunch. Training's not going to go well. And it's kind of okay. I mean, it's almost like
fine. It's
we put like an expectation on, like, this has to go perfect and be better than the last time. Otherwise, I'm a bad person.
Yes. Yeah. Boy, I see that a lot. Still the people I
My self-worth.
It's not all about one workout, and you've got to and the important thing with all that is to being able to recognize, what, it's just been a rough week, or it's been a rough day. I have this scheduled. But, still do the workout, but lower your expectations.
Right.
Just take it easy. Just do a flush out session instead. Because also I think, though, when your body's that stressed and you're taxed and you're not hitting your norms, the risk for injury's got to be higher. And again, we go back to, we want to avoid injury. If you're tired and you're trying to lift as much as when you're fresh, having a great day, you're trying harder, that's more detrimental. I think.
Right.
So recognizing, when it's the same thing with physical therapy. I try to tell my patients, you're doing your exercise and all that, and you wake up someday and you're just wiped out and you don't want to do them, don't do them.
Right.
Just give yourself a break, because the body, learning to read the body, is important. So I think you got to kind of pay attention to that, over time, is what else is going on in my life, and don't be so, don't expect that every workout's going to get faster and faster.
Right.
It's more, how's it go over a month or 2 months or 4 months, and where was I at 4 months ago, and how's my body feeling?
Again, I was hesitant to use the word successful. I appreciate the nature of success, but at the same time, who knows, maybe you're trying to raise $2 billion for malaria or something like that, and you were just like, you were way off.
Never happened.
Because again, reframing those things, I mean, what's a win today? A win is I'm going to lace up my shoes. I'm going to get out there for 5 minutes. I'm going to do one push-up, those things, and just retraining ourselves, because I think that the outside world, whether it's other people's times, what I perceive other people to be doing. I saw some guy on Instagram do it this way, those things can cloud what I need to tune in for my own self,
Yeah, that's an important part, because I think, we spend a lot of time comparing ourselves with, who's running this fast, if we take running, for example, and what are they doing? And boy, I'm not even close, and, why should I even compete? I think, the way things are, sometimes are, when I was coming out of college, I wasn't running that well in college and stuff. It would have been very easy just to say, well, you know what, I'm done, and what a shame, because I've gone on to do tons of really exciting things in running, for winning races, doing those kinds of things. I don't dwell on the fact, I never made an Olympic team. I've never, this, that, and other. Success is different for everybody, and I think that early on I found that, we talked about it earlier, that, with my running, I'm not training right now because I want to beat so in 3 months. Right? I'm only training because I want to see how good I can be, and I want to have a good run. I want to run this specific time, and sure, when I get into the race, okay, I want to beat this person, I want to be top 5, I want to be top 3, but it's not my motivating factor. It's more about, just getting the best out of myself the best way I can, and and I think over the years I've learned that it's not really, you don't really have to fight the fight all the time. You got to choose your battles,
right?
And it's not about, it's being consistent, but it's not about one specific training run or one specific, one bad night's sleep's not going to kill you, one, 2 burritos at the gas station, you're not going to be a worse athlete because of that. But, if you have 2 burritos every night from the gas station, that's probably not,
You're going to get a little compound interest
yes.
from those.
Yes.
Were these, has this been a consistent way that you've thought about yourself and your running and your performance, or did the comeback that you have to make really help reframe a lot of things for you? And could you tell us a little bit about that comeback?
Yeah, so, I've had occasional injuries throughout my career. Everybody does, but one was 2009, just a freak incident to my knee, and unfortunately, 2010, I had surgery, and it didn't go the way I expected or anybody else, and I pretty much 10 months of not knowing whether or not I would ever run again, and even, was not allowed to walk around the block, just stay off your knee. I bet you wish they had that drill bit. Yeah. Well, things happen, and and it was a very tough time for me because running was my life, and some of my friends I talked to, it was interesting later on as things were getting better. I was like, there's more to life than running, and they were like, yeah, there is, and I'd be okay without running. Yeah, you would, and. And there was one of the best races that I love going to every year. I was like, well, I'm not going. I can't even walk around the block. One of my best buddies was like, of course you're going. Everybody wants to see you. It's not about you running.
Right.
So
we don't like you for your performance, Simon.
So you realize, wow, I'm a person too,
Yeah.
After many years of being a competitor. And, I think at that point when I was able to start running again the first year, I told myself I was just going to have fun, and I didn't worry about competing. And ever since then, most of the time it is just about enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm just really, really grateful for every run that I can do. And I've had, oddly, I've had some good success since then too, with a little different attitude, and even though it was a tough year, it gave me an even different and better perspective on running, for sure.
I can relate through, beginning to enjoy it and like the prospect of not being able to do something. And they're a little bit they're not quite as connected as yours were, but for me, I started going through, some counseling to better understand, myself and how I handle things, and coming to understand that, because what I was doing is I was spending a lot of time in the gym. Like, that was a way for me. I was trying to exercise problems away, right? I was a new dad. I had a starting new business and things like that. And I was super fit, but I was still, I just had some other things to, to work with. And through some of those sessions, they had asked me, hey, did you ever have a near-death experience? And I thought back to in high school, I got hit in the neck with a discus. Right, so you've seen those things.
Those aren't small.
So I'm 110 meters out. I'm on the right line, and I'm walking off, and I hear heads up, and I just kind of freeze there, and it stuck me just kind of right in the trap meat, right, and I had I had a little extra padding there at the time, as I was good, and ended up with a bruise, but 5 inches up. It's lights out, or a little bit farther back. I mean, it's quite possible that I couldn't walk, and I just walked away, Right. But then thinking about that years later, I was like, whoa, my self-worth was really tied up in my physicality and my ability to express myself through sport, and I had to kind of reframe that and look at that experience, and go, well, how am I going to go about handling myself now, understanding that at any given moment I may not have those things, and that I'm still a person, and that I'm still going to have to navigate the world.
Without what you thought was you.
Right. With what my identity was tied up in. And even though we're talking college and then professional running, but I think even now folks can get really tied up in, I'm not running as fast as so and so. I'm turning down compliments, hey, you did a good job out there. Well, I didn't do as good as, I mean, that's a habit I've turned down a lot of compliments. No, stupid. You don't compliment me. I don't know if you've seen what and just being a little bit easier on myself.
Yeah,
has really helped me out. And it appears that those attitude shifts and understanding that our identity is not like people aren't going to like us less because we run a 27-minute 5K instead of a 19.
Most people don't even care; they don't even notice.
Right.
But our biggest fear is, oh my God, this now it's going to be on the internet. I ran so and so time and stuff, and and it's one of the things I've tried to express to my near and dear people that run and people that I help out is it's just what if any race you ran there wasn't a clock, and you listened to your body and you ran hard and you finished and you felt what you felt, the elation, like wow, I did a good job, or that felt really good, and you didn't see the clock, because I've seen so many times people, they see the clock and their whole attitude changes. It goes from I was having a good run to I ran that slow, and I think I know I've dozens of times probably in my career so time fixated that I didn't let myself allow to enjoy the experience that I was having. I was in these cool places. I was running a marathon in Frankfurt, and I got halfway, and then my time, I was 2 minutes off what I wanted to be, and the rest of the race was just like grumpy. Rather than if that clock wasn't there, I think I would have had a fantastic time. I mean, I had fun anyways, but so I try, especially now later in my life, I really not so it's not about the specific time, it's about the experience of each run.
Scales and clocks don't have morals.
No,
they do not impose you are bad, you are good. They are objective measures, and framed correctly in our own attitudes, they can help us. But I mean, there's certainly they're there for a reason. But I think there's another aspect of it that I think we miss if we make that too important. I got a group of folks that are going to be starting a Couch to 5K, and I just want to get a brief, just a blip on your thoughts on a few components that I think that are going to be important for them to make it through. I'm going to call it the complete 5K. The goal is to complete it. Even if you got to walk, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. And I'm going to try and tease out the different components of it, nutrition and rest and things like that. But just a few things. Warm up.
Yeah.
How important in
I mean, if some people are going to have a hard time getting through that 5K, so trying to do a mile or two warm up before is probably not a good thing.
Okay.
Somebody that's I run 5Ks all the time, they probably want to warm up because they're going to be going a little quicker. But a little bit of walking, a little bit of gentle stretching, and the main thing is as you're getting towards that 5K, maybe you kind of practice what you're going to do the morning of that run, right? So if you're doing a 2 mile on the Saturday before or something like that, practice what's going to work for you. Do you feel good walking over to the park and you feel looser, a little bit warmed up? Do you feel good stretching? Maybe you want to ride your bike there. Those kind of things. So it's real kind of individual, but I really do, when I help people with their training plans, I try to, let's get out way back over here, and you've got this big day over here. We're going to start practicing for that big day. Because you're running on a Saturday, we're going to practice what you're going to eat on Friday night. We're going to practice what you're going to eat Saturday morning. So when it comes Saturday morning, it's automatic, right? You don't you don't go to the starting line because
no distractions.
So the same thing for
Man, people used to they'd say, "Hey, should I take this before this competition?" Have you ever taken it before? No.
Yeah, exactly. And then darn if we don't. I mean, we've all done it. We've all, it's like, well, I should have never. But yeah, I think, and the other thing is, just recognize your own ability. Right? I mean, some of us are meant to run, some of us aren't. Some of us are really fast walkers. Some of us, get in shape quick. Some of us don't. I think, if you're going to train for something, give yourself enough time and be patient. Start out small. Gradual, improvements are the best way, because from physical therapy standpoint and stuff, working on these overuse injuries, our body will adapt to any stress that we give it, as long as it's not too big and as long as it's not too frequent, and we give it the rest in between. And where is that's different for everybody. So I might be able to start running a mile a day and build up to a 5K in 2 weeks, right? Whereas so-and-so might need to walk for a month, because they have maybe an injury or something, or so really the more gradual approach, the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Be patient.
Be gradual.
Be gradual. Follow your own capabilities.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
compare yourself with the others, because everybody's different.
Everybody's different. I think that by accepting that and then being okay with going through the process of figuring out what works for us, and just spending a little time figuring that out, I think those are good investments. So, any other parting words for those folks that are, or anybody else that's getting ready to start something new for themselves?
I think absolutely try to enjoy what you're doing.
Enjoy it.
I mean, because if you're enjoying what you're doing, if you find something that you're really passionate about, you're going to stick with it, longer. And in the end, it's about staying healthy as we age, as we all are, and because we all have families and all that, and you want to be able to enjoy time with them. And I think just living a fairly healthy lifestyle, not too crazy, whether it be on the nutrition side or the exercise side, is a good way to go.
Very nice. Well, I enjoyed this conversation with you, Simon.
If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. These are great ways to support the continuation of this type of content. And if you want some more wellness time, you can follow along on a day-to-day basis on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks in advance.